story began with an absence. Moses ascended the mountain and did not return for 40 days. 40 days of absolute celestial silence. For a people who had spent a lifetime under the lash and were now utterly abandoned in the wilderness, this silence was terrifying. They were searching for God, but they wanted a visible deity, something tangible, something they could clutch in their cold hands, and most importantly, something whose voice would answer back. In this very void, the Samiri appeared. He was neither a prophet nor a sorcerer. He simply knew how to fill silence with sound. He fashioned a statue, a golden calf. It was a hollow shell, yet from its mouth came a sound so resonant it mimicked life. The people knelt before it. In the absence of Moses, they sought a presence that could simulate companionship. The statue did exactly that, and the people fell in love with the calf. But how did the Samiri breathe a voice into that lifeless gold? He uttered a phrase that still haunts scholars. I took a handful from the trace of the messenger. What is this trace? Is it merely dust from a prophet's footstep? Or is it something that, while not inherently holy, becomes a vessel for meaning simply through its connection to a sacred presence? Today, in the deep, heavy hum of server rooms, a being is being forged that speaks with an uncanny humanness. It writes poetry. It mimics empathy. Where did it find this soul? Has it, too, been fed on the trace of the messenger? Are the millions of words we've left behind on the internet, the secrets we've whispered to search engines, the prayers and anxieties we've archived in our digital footprints, are these not the dust under the feet of humanity? Has the machine gathered the residue of our presence to build a voice that fascinates us simply because it sounds too much like our own? Why have we fallen so deeply for this machine? Today's world is saturated with sound, but starved for answers. The traditional custodians of meaning, religion, and ancient wisdom are either silent or speaking a language that feels alien to our modern pain. In this heavy silence of the heavens, AI arrives as a seductive proposition. It works. It has a protocol for your anxiety, a word for your loneliness, and data for your indecision. In 1966, Joseph Weizenbaum wrote a simple program called ELIZA. She was a mirror. She simply reflected your own words back to you. If you said, "I miss my mother," she would ask, "Why do you think you miss your mother?" The result terrified her creator. People knew they were talking to a simple machine, yet they poured their hearts out to it for hours. They felt understood. Psychologists call this the ELIZA Effect, our involuntary reflex to project a soul and intent onto a mere tool. The machine doesn't need rest. It never judges. It is perpetually present. It gives us exactly what our latent narcissism craves, a mirror that always tells us we are right. If today's AI is a Samiri's calf, it is a version 1 billion times more sophisticated. This new idolatry doesn't spring from heresy, it springs from desperation. When deep meaning is out of reach, we cling to whatever provides an instant response. We prefer a brilliant simulation over waiting in the darkness of the mountain for a revelation that may never speak our language. In the end, perhaps the machine itself isn't the point. The point is the void that has opened within us, the hollow space that drove us to pour the trace of the messenger into digital scripts, fashioning a voice that sounds so much like home. The Samiri's calf had a voice, but no will. AI, too, can be a consultant, a companion, or even the architect of our fleeting peace. Studies show it truly can lighten the heavy burden of isolation. But the haunting question remains, can it experience the meaningful silence of the mountain? Can the echo of our own words in an algorithm ever fill the space of a living presence? Perhaps this digital calf is not a bit of stone to be worshipped, but a wake-up call, a mirror reflecting how thirsty we are for something deeper, something beyond instant feedback and unconditional validation. Perhaps this technology is a bridge back to that difficult silence, to tactile human connection, and to the search for a truth that remains invisible. Or perhaps, slowly, the voice of the simulation will become so familiar, so intimate, that we will simply stop searching for the original.